Okay, 9 o'clock. Let's call to order the meeting of the Shelby County Supervisors on Tuesday, December 21st, 2021. Any conflict of interest, gentlemen?
No.
Approval of agenda.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Charlie,
Second.
second by Steve. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 3, approval of minutes from December 7th.
We're just doing the 7th ones, correct?
Yep.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Steve, second by Charlie. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of claims. Nothing exciting in there this week,
A lot of beaver bounty ones,
Yeah.
which is a good thing.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Charlie,
Second.
second by Steve. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Treasurer, is Carolyn here?
Carolyn out there?
She's alone in the office,
Okay.
and she said when you guys get time, I'm supposed to go up there and see if I can get her down here to do her quarterly
Should we move her
report.
down?
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
Just
Just
wait.
wait, get the hearings over with. I'm
Okay.
suggesting that.
Yeah.
Alright. Mr. Brent Shelby, county insurance discussion.
Good morning.
Hi.
Good morning.
Got too many trees there.
Looks awful thick.
Thank you.
There are some really goods and a couple State of the Union market. It is what it is. It's where we're at today, and we'll talk through that sort of thing. So just reminding everybody our process and what we do, it's some of it at your guys' direction, some of it just the right thing to do, etc. I send stuff out to all the department heads several months in advance, ask them to look at vehicle schedules, property locations, equipment lists, all of the above, just to make sure we're not missing a vehicle that got purchased, or hey, we built this storage shed and didn't tell you, or whatever it may be, to keep them in the loop so that we're as on top of it as humanly possible. The insurance program is through ICAP, Iowa Community Assurances Pool. There's really two main markets that write cities, counties, municipalities in the state of Iowa. One is ICAP, which is who the county is with. The other one is EMC. Our city is actually through EMC, the city utility. Both county and city have looked at bidding the other one from time to time. They're both pretty darn close and very competitive, and there's distinct differences, pros and cons, but generally speaking, each currently are still with the right program in terms of how it fits their situation. This summary we put together is a summary. If you have detailed questions, certainly ask, interject, interrupt, and we'll talk through those specifics and details as we always do. The property, as you'll see at the top of page 1, we have a blanket limit. That means is essentially you total up the limits on the buildings, and if you're light on one, you don't get shorted on that building. You get the full limit of what it would cost on that building. ICAP has sent out inspection companies, as all insurance companies do, throughout the years. The courthouse is the most notable that we increased significantly. Time flies, 5-6 years ago, to make sure that it was adequate. So we have a total blanket limit of just shy of $26 million. I've got a total statement of values list, and I think I included that for you guys that shows how we get to that $26 million. That's in that packet. So if there's any questions on detail of that, we can certainly go into it. ICAP has made some enhancements the last few years. We used to have to list a lot of things out separately, one of them being EDP, which is electronic data, so your servers and some of those things. They've now included that in what we call BPP, which is your business personal property. Helps simplify for you guys in a program. This is very common. We do have some fine arts coverage of roughly $100,000. It is in here in the schedule from memory. It's like some of the statues at the courthouse and some other things like that that are unique that we list separately. The miscellaneous scheduled property and miscellaneous unscheduled property, same way, shows in the schedules. Some of that is equipment that needs listed out that's substantial in value, or specific items that require to be listed out separately. We carry a $1,000 deductible, which industry-wide standard is pretty light. We're seeing a lot of larger entities go upwards of $5,000. So you could do a $2,500 deductible, $5,000, up to $10,000. You get above $10,000, you're not really seeing a lot of value, but $1,000 is definitely like everything, times change. 1,000 used to be very common, now it's definitely on the light side, where the city, for example, has a 5,000 deductible and has for 5-6 years. So that might be an area that you.
What would that change the premium?
Yeah, and that's,
percentage-wise?
when we looked at it about 3 or 4 years ago, the payback wasn't enough that you guys felt it warranted it. I didn't get the payback on that. I certainly can if you want me to
Yeah,
analyze that.
I would like to see that.
And I can send it out to you as to.
So the increase on this one, Brent, you feel that's because of them covering the electronic equipment now, or, I mean, because
You're saying increase in total property premium?
yes.
It's a combination of the last 7 years in Iowa. It's like we live in Oklahoma. Derecho, the storm we just had, the tornadoes, the hail. Across the board with what we're seeing, last year they sent it out to us saying, hey, ballpark a 12 to 15% increase on some of these lines. The city plan PNC is doing the same thing. It's not flat for every entity, but it's in that same range. We've got other larger entities that we work with that we'll even partner with an agency out of Omaha for some various reasons on specific coverage. So we know we have every single market that an independent agent can go to. And the best we could do on one of those, even with their help, was 25% increase in a $250,000 wind-tail deductible. So again, when I talk 1,000 is very light.
How much
And that's an entity in the
deductible?
county, 250,000. We had to buy the deductible back down to 50.
Oh my God.
And that cost them $35,000 to buy the deductible down. So when I see a price, nobody likes increases. We
Right.
don't like delivering them, you guys don't like them, I'm a consumer too, we don't like them. What we're seeing as the norm as stuff comes through, we have the ability on the personal side to set basically a red flag to us, to say, hey, this home insurance or this account went up by X%, so we make sure we look at it. My staff has came to me and said, hey, we gotta raise it, it needs to be at least 15%, because every renewal is coming in basically at least that amount. So property rate, derecho is the biggest thing that's driving it, and then, but that wasn't the only event we've had the last 6-7 years. We've had a lot of them, no different than we were just talking casually earlier that this last storm that went through, it's crazy in December that we're getting storms that are destroying property. So it's very common that we're seeing 12 to 25% rate increases on property,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Yeah, so this isn't that bad then.
No, comparatively speaking. There's another one on the other page you're not gonna like.
Okay.
So yeah, I think you should consider all the way up to a 10,000 deductible. I'll get those rate savings for you guys and I'll email it out to you, and if you wanna adjust current term we can, or we can look at doing that for next year.
Okay.
Your general liability, you have a 2 million occurrence. You'll see on the other page that you do have excess, which is above and beyond that. The rating factors in that, again, I get from Mark on, we do basically a questionnaire every year on receipts and sales and number of water access and all of the above. It's a 5, 6, 7, 8 page questionnaire that we fill out as how they determine your liability rate. ICAP, generally speaking, has not taken substantial increase on liability. The reason we're seeing that, which I said next page is right below on other liability, the law enforcement and public officials, they call it social inflation. Generally speaking, we've all seen it, awards from juries with anybody from public officials to police enforcement, etc., is skyrocketed just on how juries award and what people are suing for and what's allowed in the courts. We're seeing substantial increases on that. So that's the other area tied in with your liability that you see, like on the law enforcement one, it more than doubled, which is crazy. But that's where we're at in the market as to how many claims they're having to pay and what they're having to charge to recoup losses. Auto, there's not a ton of changes. Again, we go through a vehicle list. We're seeing some changes in auto in the industry. As much as technology makes us safer, it also makes vehicles 3, 4, 5 times more expensive to repair when we have them. We've had several instances over the last year. We had somebody at a bank hit a deer, and it was $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 to fix the deer damage. But when they got it back, the sensors in the car, they could not figure out, and they finally just totaled the vehicle because of the wiring harness in the front end with all the airbag, parking, lane change, all those sensors. They couldn't fix it, and it was going to be too expensive. So after they fixed the deer damage and they couldn't figure out the electronics, they then turned around and retotaled the car because it was too expensive to fix. So we see that a lot in vehicles now. We had a pheasant hit the front of a Ford truck, and it was so small I could barely see the crack on the grill. And just, hey, take it in case it hit a sensor. It did, it hit a sensor, and it was $3,500. I mean, the grill was so small you could have super glued it, and you'd have never seen it, but it was a $3,500 fix because it just happened to hit right where the sensor is. So as much as they are safer, they're much more expensive to fix. So we're seeing some increase in auto, not as significant like as in the public officials and the law enforcement liability, but we are seeing some pressure there. The excess ties right in with the public officials and general liability. When we talk excess or umbrella, another term for that, it kind of depends on the semantics and specifics of that. But in our world, we refer to that as tied very closely to reinsurance. Again, unfortunately, with social inflation and all of those things, this is the first time in 15 years we've seen pressure on the reinsurance and the excess markets. We've had some companies that have 10 and 25 million umbrellas that the carriers have sent renewals out and they won't offer it. They say the most we'll offer is 5. So the market really started to overreact to COVID. We're seeing that finally come back. So I hope the excess market rates actually soften a little bit over the next year because we have seen that start to come
I
back.
think we just increased that, didn't we? Last year or year before to 5 mil, or has it been that long? for a while?
I think you've had it a little longer than that.
Okay. But yeah, that's pretty good, significant increase there, percentage wise.
It definitely is. Yeah, we're talking almost 40%. The crime is one thing we did change last year on your bond. You have an employee theft bond that used to be $150,000. We've increased that to $500,000. Very nominal to no increase on that for this year. ICAP charges that administrative marketing fee. That's not ours, that's theirs. They refer to it as a CRF, a cumulative reserve fund credit that you get for being a pool member. Last year with Rachel, they paid no CRF. It's calculated every year on a 3-year basis. We don't find out for a while. We don't know what that is yet. Once I know, I pass that on to Mark and it's taken off the premium, etc. So on the what we refer to as the P&C, the property casualty, etc. side, we did see a very significant increase this year, almost $25,000 above what it was last year. The positive then comes next with the work comp. We've talked extensively about that over the years. I mean, it's when it's negative, it's a very understandable hot topic. It's something that you do have a ton of control over. There are accidents then that you can't prevent, but there are more than half of them in work comp are preventable based upon culture, training, understanding, awareness, etc. When we say people get hurt lifting something that's way too heavy or they fall on ice, then we're not team lifting, we're not training, we're not throwing out enough ice, we're not being aware that, hey, there's ice, even though I have these really good boots, I'm not gonna walk over it, I'm gonna walk around it. Or I'm gonna duck, walk over and get a ton of ice melt, so we don't have that. So really, any of the preventative stuff we do, there is no way to know if Mark didn't slip and fall based upon our training. The only way we know is in claims history, claims experience, and then what we refer to as your modification factor, which is based upon your experience. When we're doing the right things, that trends downward. When we're not doing the right things, that trends upward. We can always have the one-off claim that's crazy that we couldn't predict. But when we're trending in one direction or the other, that's a indication that either we're doing the right things and people are aware, or hey, we need to really kind of
And that's
bust it
a
again.
3-year rotation.
Generally speaking, it's a 3-year average. IMWCA does it a little bit different, but the simple answer is yes. That's a 3-year rolling average. They don't take into account the last 12 months because they gave this modification a month or 2 ago and they don't know how 2021 is going to end. So they don't look at the last 12 months, they look at months 13 to 48. That's how they do that. So you can see last year, again, the weird part about comp is it's July to July, but we had a 1.13 mod. This current term that we're in right in the middle of now, we've dropped down to a 0.71. So that's a 42% change just in your modification factor, which comes right off the top. The other thing that comes into play with that is both your IMWCA discount that they calculate and your good experience bonus. So that's something that's unique to the IMWCA pool, that if you have good experience, you can qualify for a modification above and beyond your work comp mod. So you'll see the 2021 term, we were just shy of 150. This current term, we're just shy of 50. That's a huge swing when it comes to what we can do. So kudos to Bryce and the safety team and all those folks that have been doing that. Bryce and I talk every year, at least with that crew. I go do a safety meeting with them about every November when winter starts to hit. I just politely blame me and chastise them for, think of me and don't fall and do these things, and we have a really good meeting. I can do that with as many departments as you guys see fit that need that sort of reminder. I do it with the teachers every year at the school. It's just one more simple reminder to help them remember to, again, I've stood on a chair before with wheels. It's foolish and dumb and I shouldn't do it, but I've done it before. But me reminding them If I can stop one person from standing on chair wheels and falling, then we'll never know, because we won't know that they didn't fall, but we'll see it in what we're seeing today.
So does law enforcement also, I mean, is that considered an accident?
No, so there's two parts. This is where it gets very technical with work comp. There's medical and there's indemnity,
Okay.
and that affects your mod. So the simple answer is, if we can get people to return to light duty, which is what I talk about in these safety meetings, that helps tremendously on your mod. If there's a medical incident, that's not factored in as harshly as an indemnity claim, meaning I'm out of work, I'm paying you to not be at work. If you get so many days, they know the stats are that you're likely not going to ever return to work, or you're gonna not return for a long time. So the key is the light duty return to work, the medical programs to get the right provider in front of them to that has the philosophy of, hey, we want to get you well and back to work, not, for lack of better terms, this is not the right way to word it, but milk this and you never go back to work the rest of your life. There is a different philosophy around that from medical treatment. Some people are going to be injured and never be able to work again.
Okay.
But there's a lot of
But
people
law
that can.
enforcement injured on the job while doing their,
That would be a medical claim.
that'd be a medical claim,
Yep.
so. it
And
wouldn't-
there's ways we can get them back part-time light duty, that maybe
Okay.
they're in the office, they don't go out on patrol, but they help with some of the administrative stuff to cover it. And if they're back at work light duty, that affects the indemnity side of the claim, which positively impacts your mod.
Okay.
So we talk to them all the time, 3 days is the key, they need to be back at work, if at all possible, less than 3 days. So the thing I remind them every year is somebody gets hurt on a Friday, they go to the doctor a lot of times says, well, what do you work? Oh, I work Monday to Friday. Okay, go back to work on Monday. Well, the note needs to technically say, can I go back to work tomorrow? If the answer is yes, then it needs to say, you can return to light duty tomorrow. They don't work tomorrow, they have the day off, and that affects weirdly how indemnity claims work. So I remind Bryce of that every time we meet so that he's aware, and hopefully he's passing that out and we talk about it here. So has a huge impact on
Keep doing what you're doing.
how claims work. So it helps. I mean, again, a lot of people, it's very interesting from my perspective, and it's not wrong, it's just very different. I've talked to leadership in the past that has a philosophy of, well, that's what work comp's supposed to do, is pay claims. And I've had other leadership like you guys that say, no, we do have skin in this, we can impact this, do whatever we can to impact it. And we see it all the time, you see the difference, and so do the
Yeah.
companies, and they know.
We need to
So-
show this to employees and
So,
show.
I mean, and that's,
what
it has impact on budget,
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
that much a year, same way at the school, there's things you can do.
Well, really.
Governmental budgets are tight, and when you
Really.
can change it 50 to 100,000 bucks, that's huge.
Yeah, really paid when we get somebody in charge of it, that sees it every day. You know, Bryce taking care of it. Remind
Yep, he
him.
does a great job with it. So that's the positive. We started obviously with the not so fun stuff. Again, I don't like it. I'm not insensitive to it. This is actually slightly below norm on the PNC side of what I'm seeing. So I'd rather come out and deliver an inflationary 1, 2, 3, 4% increase, or hey, we had this line, it went up 6 or 8, but this is very common, and actually on the light side of what we're seeing is common, unfortunately.
So what's the bottom line I'm not seeing compared to last year?
So
What's our-
so if you go
Plus,
up
I mean-
to the 150, right above the work comp, I totaled that, everything but work comp, and then I do work comp separately because of how it runs calendar
Okay,
year,
gotcha.
July to July.
Gotcha.
So the PNC side currently is 152.12. Last year it was 125 and change.
Okay,
So that is up, the work comp's substantially down.
gotcha.
We do have a separate policy that covers some of the stuff out at Country Care, those grain bins in a few of those buildings.
Right.
Coverage is fine, but with increased construction costs that everybody's aware of, I actually think we should look at bumping these probably even more than 10%, because we don't really change them a whole lot year over year. It's been a few years since we've done anything to the limits. Sheds and grain bins just cost a lot more, so there's no perfect answer. We can pick a flat percentage, we can pick a flat dollar amount, but I think we should increase those by some sort of modest amount.
So am I reading this right? Our total premiums is going from 272 down to 198?
Round numbers, correct?
And without that mod factor, it would have been totally different.
Yeah, the work
Everything
comp is
would have been up
always going to
25%.
fluctuate a lot more than PNC because again of your experience.
Is there an estimated work comp number?
I don't have it yet, I always get that for you for budget.
That usually happens.
Yep. And they try to get us the mod out as soon as they can.
Right.
The mod's the biggest driver on that. If we know the mod hasn't changed a lot, we've got what we call Mod Master. It's a tool that can kind of forecast the mod based upon claims. Claims can change, which impacts the mod. We can get you an estimated one typically, so I'll send that to you so you can try to budget as best as possible.
Bottom line looks good,
Yeah,
but
I
By the
personally
same-
really struggle with society and how we're doing jury awards and how that impacts and reinsurance, but I can't.
control
None
that.
of us can. We've got to push from a society and a legal standpoint, and a
The
political standpoint.
other negative to this is our mod is as low as it can get, I think.
Essentially.
I think they said, oh, 69 is the lowest.
Yep, it can
Okay.
come down 2 more points, but there's a minimum on a mod and a potential maximum on a mod, so good problem to have that we're at the bottom of what we can get for
Absolutely,
discounts.
absolutely.
So that's the best problem we can absolutely have. Do you guys want to do something on the grain bins now? Do you want me to email you the property deductible savings, and if you decide to
I
do it,
think
we'll
you should
make all
look
the
at least
changes at once?
20%.
That's
That's
at least what we're seeing, and again, we haven't changed these
Yeah, I know.
in 3, 4, 5 years, so
At least.
Is that the one Danish Mutual
Yeah.
carries? Yep.
it's very inexpensive. I don't make decisions based on inexpensive. To me, the
Yeah,
limits need to
we're
be
talking about a
accurate.
$600 bill.
Yeah, the limits just need to be accurate. You lose, I mean, a shed's probably more like 40,000 now versus 20. The grain bins probably need to go up to 40-ish,
Yeah.
whereas that shed, they probably all need to be 40. But you guys look at that and talk and tell me what you want me to make the limits, and we'll look at this ultimately that, I mean, we can recommend that
20%'s easy.
we do 20% across the board on them. Okay.
I believe the deductible's same, 1,000.
On those I would, but on your property for the whole blanket with the
Yeah,
county, I'll get you the premium
That's
savings
much.
and you can
Okay.
decide.
Yeah, that'd be good.
If there's a signature thing that I always give Mark, I'll leave that with you, I'll come back and get it so you guys can keep going with your meeting, Mark, and we can reconnect after. And then I'll get you that information on the other piece that you need.
Appreciate you staying on top of it, Brett.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that helps a lot too.
We need a motion to proceed here. I'll make that motion.
Yeah, to sign the paper.
Yep.
Permit the chairperson to sign a commitment letter.
So moved.
Motion by Steve, second by Charlie, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Here is that paperwork.
Thank you, sir.
Who needs that to sign? Do you need that? You don't have to sign it right now, but just sign it, give it to Mark, he can scan it and send me a copy during.
All right.
Yeah, get us the information and we'll let you know.
Yeah, I'll get that. There's a decent chance I'll even have it today. As soon as I get it, I'll let you know.
Okay, thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Ditto.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Committee reports, either one of you?
I don't have any updates.
The only one I have is I attended the East-West Nishnabotna Coalition. They've spent the whole 5 mil that they got in the state, so they're wondering where they should go now. So that was our last discussion.
Okay. Did they come up with any great ideas for that?
No, we're gonna talk about it at the next meeting.
Okay.
What about moving beaver bounty up so Nick can, I'm sure he's got things to do. I know
Is that
everybody
what,
does.
okay.
Yeah, not gonna take long.
Yeah. What are you seeing, Nick?
They
We
brought
ran
a
out
lot
of money already, which
Yeah,
is 3
yeah.
months ahead.
Yep.
Yeah, we're, all the bounties have been brought in for this year, so a lot of times it won't even come in until about April. So
Yeah,
I think
so I was
because the
gonna say.
weather was nice and fur prices on other animals, I guess, is down maybe. So we just saw an influx of people bringing them in, and so maybe you want, if you want to make an adjustment, I can, I have some people that brought some in, we had to kind of turn them away, so I can kind of get a hold of them, so.
We did $5,000, $25, correct? a
And it's
beaver?
been like that for what, 7 years, I think.
Yeah, and
we've done it,
when,
so.
like, the last few years, we either just run out or we got a couple $100
Yeah,
left.
it's usually,
And now we're out already, and
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but I've had 3 calls in the last month of farmers wanting to know who traps beavers, they have problems, they have watersheds getting plugged up. So it's a real issue out there, so I would like to see it
Didn't you
keep
say it's
going.
because of the dry weather that's when they tend to?
well, yeah, the dry weather, and then we had a good weather, and yeah, like mostly for these guys that, there's just a handful of people that usually bring them in from year to year. And some of them, they might trap coyotes and raccoons, and they're just not even messing with them because of fur prices.
Yeah.
They're like, well, we'd rather get the bounty and then help the farmers out at the same time.
Do you think
so.
if we don't have to do that today, but if we did drop that to $20 per tail, would we still?
I think we'd be
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, if you dropped it any lower, I don't know if they'd mess with it or not, but you could do
Yeah, we want
20
to
and
still
then,
see them,
and
the
then they
damage that they do.
yeah, yeah. So as long as, you know, if it helps Brandon out too, you know, with the tubes getting plugged in the
Okay.
roads and.
So I'll make a motion to go to 20, add another 2,500.
Where's this money come
to it.
from?
Rural basic,
Rural basic.
rural property
And
taxes,
we've got,
outside of city limits.
you said we're setting okay there, so
Yes.
we'd be okay to, okay.
If you wanted to extend it out this year, I can notify them and then you can make a determination next year, I guess, for that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we'll still keep it the same
Yeah.
for this year.
Okay.
Because if we don't spend it here, we're gonna end up spending it with conservation and unplugging dams and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
flood and
this is the
erosion.
cheap part.
Yeah.
So I'm glad the guys are willing to do that, so.
Yeah, the only thing is they need to do it during the legal trapping season.
Right.
And a legal method of take. They can't just go out and shoot them and all that, so they have to be trapped.
Second Steve's motion.
Okay, what was the motion to increase it to?
2,500.
An additional $2,500.
Okay. Okay, motion by Steve.
You have to
second by
let us
Charlie.
know if, how that's working
I
out.
will.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Nick.
That's all you needed to talk about?
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
We're jumping all over this agenda here. Mr. Todd Valeen.
Morning, guys.
Morning.
This will be just a real quick update. All of our holiday events are over, thanks to all the sponsors and all the families that came out, everybody who participated. It was just nice to actually see faces and do things. So, really enjoyed it, and when we took Santa around to the smaller communities, he saw just short of 100 kids, so that was really good.
Santa have a sail on his sleigh, just flew around that sail.
Actually, Santa just kind of slept on my couch for a couple of weeks. Yeah, guy eats a lot, especially here, so.
We all.
The one thing I did want to bring to your attention, I got this yesterday from the Cattlemen's Heritage Group. So there will be a meeting here in Harlan on Tuesday, December 28th, from 4:30 to 5:30. It'll be at the Trickelson Center. And this is that group that's developing the new beef processing facility in Mills County. And so they're going to present what they have going on in regards to their facility. Just as a quick reminder, they're hoping to get that thing up and running to where it can process 15 head per day. And we'll have about 750 workers there at the facility. But they're looking for, of course, additional cattlemen to get involved in that.
15 head per day?
1,500.
1,500,
Okay,
okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, 750, they better be able to get more than 15 done.
1,500 head per day.
Okay.
They're all part-time.
Yeah. So, just wanted to get that out there, make sure everybody was.
Is that right in Glenwood, or where is that?
Where it's going to be located, I'm not sure.
Oh, it's something they're gonna build.
There
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
a
Okay.
packing
New one.
plant. Swift used to have a packing plant in Glenwood, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, thought Shelby County
That'd be-
cattlemen would probably be interested in attending that meeting, so. And I don't know how else they're promoting this, I got the email yesterday, so.
Okay.
Alrighty, other than that, have a Merry
All right,
Christmas and a
thank
Happy
you.
New
Merry
Year.
Christmas, Todd.
Thank you.
You all right? Thanks.
Yep.
Okay, we're gonna recess the meeting to go into open hearing for redistricting of precincts.
Yeah, the redistricting ordinance. I have heard absolutely no comments on this, on the redistricting. We had to split up in the northwest corner, northeast corner of the county, the Greeley, Jefferson, Douglas Polk precincts. We split them in half because of the new legislative districts, split it in half. And so the polling place will not change. It just requires extra paperwork for me to report to the Secretary of State's office at election time that the polling place is not in the precinct. It'll be right outside of the precinct in Irwin, so nobody's polling places are going to change. We're going to leave them the same.
Good.
And that's always the worst thing. The legislature a few years ago tried to make things so everybody voted in the same place all the time, and then they throw these things at us that make it difficult to make that happen for what they wanted 3 or 4 years ago when they,
So you're gonna have 2 different ballots at that,
at some elections.
at some elections, aren't you?
Yeah, like at the general election next fall with township officials, there'd be 4 ballots there. There'll be 4 ballots next fall, or 5, because you gotta have Irwin and Kirkman, that'll be another one. Yeah, it gets kind of
Okay.
involved. But I presented everybody maps, if anybody in the audience wants to see the new maps. The city of Harlan, the 4 wards in Harlan did not change at all, and
No, I think you,
just the
So really
rural
got
ones.
minimal changes possible.
Yeah. If somebody isn't looking, they won't know anything happened. And that's the way you want it for voters.
You haven't heard anything written or?
No, no
Verbal?
comments on that. And there is an ordinance that needs to be approved after the close of the hearing.
okay, appreciate you doing that. I understand that was supposed to be Steve's job, but you took care of that for him,
It is the supervisor's responsibility.
so. But no, I think you made that simple, so.
Yep.
Okay,
Any-
so close the hearing.
Anybody out there?
Any
here for that?
discussion?
No? Okay.
Close the hearing. Any motions on that then?
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion by Charlie, second by Steve.
And suspend further readings, otherwise we gotta have this 3 times.
Okay.
Yes.
That's-
Make that motion too.
Yep.
It was in his statement.
Yep.
I heard him say it. Motion by Charlie, second by Steve, all in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed. Motion carries. Now we need to recess to go into the general obligation emergency communications equipment loan agreement hearing.
Yeah. And everybody's familiar with that.
Yep, Bill and Chip, do we?
You bet.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
folks.
Morning, Chip.
So this public hearing allows the county to proceed with the financing for the radios and the console equipment. It's an essential county purpose, so nobody can really object, but you can hear any public input if there is any or has been filed with the auditor's office. So
Okay.
I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have on it.
Have you guys heard anything, heard a word?
Anybody here that has any questions?
Have you had anything, Mark?
0.
So what do we
Do
come
you
up
need anything
with?
else from us?
I'll hit
Okay.
the following agenda items at the appropriate moment.
Okay, so hearing nothing, we'll close the hearing. Go back to our regular meeting. Okay, authorization for chairperson to sign the purchase agreement with Motorola in the amount of $2,028,010.
You know you're responsible if we don't make the payment.
Okay,
That's a tall order.
okay, what do we have on that, Chip?
It's really, so this is your agreement to go ahead with signing the agreement with Motorola to go ahead and purchase the radios. I know you've got a combination of cash that's being contributed, cash from the county, cash from the EMA folks. I'm happy to answer any questions on that if you'd like to go into that at all.
That's all specified in the agreement. That doesn't need to be specified in Motorola's agreement, that's
It
just
is
in
not.
the.
It's just what the county's contemplating or taking into
Okay.
account as the overall approach for the financing.
Okay,
So,
so do I have a motion?
I have one question.
Yes.
Are the pagers included on that Motorola contract? Just making sure.
they are.
Okay.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
are.
I knew that there was two.
Not on the Motorola. I think I
There's
understood they were
separate,
separate.
but it's
It's
included in the total.
Okay.
It's
That-
Since they
yeah.
don't sell them, correct?
It's included in the overall
total
funding
package.
mix.
Right, okay.
Yes.
And I also saw one of your comments in the emails about you didn't know about the service agreements. That service agreement is covered for the first 3 years, correct? Was that my understanding?
The first year is included, and then, but keep in mind, the first year doesn't even start until everything's up and running, which won't be for quite some time. So I mean,
Okay.
my guess is that the second year wouldn't be due until, what would be like 2023, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the service agreement, that would be covered under us,
Right.
because that would be for the consoles, and we would cover
It
that
is
cost.
due,
Okay.
it's due annually, so.
Okay,
Yep.
so there is a 1-year warranty basically on
One
everything?
year's included, but the 1 year doesn't start until everything's up and running. so.
Okay,
There is a 3-year on the subscriber equipment, the actual
Correct.
radios themselves that they hold in their hands.
oh, okay,
Yep.
okay.
And then the pagers have their own warranty as well.
The $2,028,
28,000
okay,
dollars.
that's everything. I mean, there's no extras on top of that. I mean, the pagers are included in that.
I think
No.
they're separate.
There's a separate quote from Communication for the pagers that the board received at the
Perhaps
last
I
meeting.
didn't ask correctly. That total amount that I wrote on them, that's written, that includes the pagers or it does not? That's my question.
It does not. Well,
Okay.
so the, let me give you.
What we're bonding for was supposed to include pagers, I mean,
Yep, so you've got, just since you asked it all, sure.
Sure.
So the Motorola, there's the number that you had,
Yep,
and it includes the discount
yep,
of 129,000. And then the financing incorporates the cash, incorporates the discount. So the 2,028,000 is those first two numbers.
Gotcha.
Less the discount.
the pagers
So
are
this is-
separate. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you,
Sure.
thank you.
And I think
You can have that.
it's,
Or is that mine? I don't know.
it's what I emailed
Okay,
here before the late November, I think, no, early December, pardon me. So
so this is our, so
that's your,
2,366,190 is our total?
so that's, there's different, so the Motorola of 2,028,000 is that lower page there, reflective of the discount. I've got the discount included up here. So the 2,028,000 is those first two numbers, the 1,510 and the 647, less the discount. And that nets out to 2,028,000.
Okay.
It's just showing the numbers in a different way. This is intended to show a more, it's everything comprehensively, including the pagers, including the discount, including the cash on hand applied.
Okay, so what are we bonding for? We're bonding for this amount minus 600,000?
Correct. That's right. That's right. And
So-
this has the 600 cash applied from the two sources there as a separate source from the bonding. So it takes into account the discount, the cash, and the bond issue, all contributed as a source.
Okay,
And then the uses are what's right under uses
so bottom line is our pagers are not paid for.
there. They are paid for,
They are,
yes.
okay.
But from our standpoint, it's whether you fund it, look at it as being funded from the bond issue from cash on hand. It's all a comprehensive
Okay.
look. And our role is to look at it overall to make sure that you've got full funding for everything, taking into account not just the cash on hand, but then it's basically we're looking at the cash on hand applied, and then the rest has to be covered, cash on hand applied or the discount, and then the rest is covered from a bond issue. because I think in one of the early version of your numbers, it had the pagers kind of subcategorized down
Right.
below. It wasn't in the last version because I think it's separate
Correct.
contracts,
Yep.
I believe. So,
Bonding's got the money in there, but Motorola's contract can only cover what they can provide. The pagers are on that separate quote.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Do you need or is that in the next one as far as the breakdown?
that's, I can cover it under any agenda item that you're comfortable with. That sources and uses run, I think I handed that out at the early December meeting.
Right.
Or late November, and I think it might have been emailed too.
Mhm.
So everybody's got a copy of it.
Because we're doing the county, how we're paying through it is for 300,000 from ARPA.
Correct.
And then, you know what your split is?
200 from 911 and 100 from EMA.
Okay.
Okay. I've just got it there as one chunk.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which is
I've
fine,
seen that.
which is fine.
Okay. I think it's helpful to break that out though.
Yep.
So I'll come back at your January, whichever January meeting you go forward with, and I'll have that refined because I think it's good to have.
Well, we
just
need to know where the money's coming from.
Sure.
For paying people.
You bet. And if you look at things from a standpoint of cash on hand being contributed, so the government finance officers, the GFOA, has typical guidelines for how you go about establishing a project fund. And if the county if there's money outside of your control, you typically see that cash on hand being contributed up front. And if it's not, you don't know how to size the bond issue. If you don't know how much cash on hand's coming in,
Okay.
you've got to have a clear idea of how much cash is coming in and when. Because if we don't, then you have to increase the size of the bond issue.
Right.
And I know increasing the size of the bond issue is not the county's intent with this. You've got the cash on hand being contributed.
Right.
And if there's a lack of clarity on cash being contributed, your county attorney can answer this, but I think you'd have to have probably some sort of a 2080.
Yeah.
And I
No.
don't think you guys probably want to
No.
go
No.
into all that.
We know where it's coming from.
And it's there, so.
Yep.
And all
Okay.
claims, I believe all three payments can be made at the end of the year, claims, whenever that happens. Or it has to be done soon after that. We have a software upgrade where we're gonna be shut out of writing checks right in the middle of January. So,
Okay?
I know.
That's fun.
So, I know.
As long as he knows before, you could get that to
Yeah,
him. and-
we could write the checks
Have
and
them
until
sitting
they
there.
sign them, or until they okay them, then they could be sitting there.
Yes, that's right.
We can
That's
do
right.
that, okay.
So the bond, and this is maybe a little bit more under agenda item 16.
Yeah, so let's finish number 15, which is authorizing me to purchase, but do we need to make an authorization to sign the other agreement for the pagers then? Do we have another agreement?
Or is that all in the
Simply
same?
the quote that's got a signature line at the bottom of the quote.
But that's not Motorola's quote.
That's not
But
Motorola's.
there's two, there's the Motorola agreement and then the first wireless.
Can we make this action item to sign both agreement, or,
Yeah.
I
Off
mean,
the
'cause-
subject, are we
'cause-
gonna meet next week? I could just put it on there. Are we gonna have that special meeting
I
next
think-
week?
Yeah, 28th, yeah.
but don't we have
28th.
to have this done now in order to get the bond?
The pagers?
If somebody makes a motion.
It's a
to pay-
package deal, I don't know why
Yeah.
we just can't do it right now.
It all has to go together.
Let's just do it, I mean,
It's your-
so,
You're fine, you're fine.
Yeah, let's do it together.
I'll make that motion.
okay.
I try
So
to
we-
err on the side of caution.
So
Be
you
different
just
if there was-
you need to add that amount into that 2028.
Yeah, it's a package.
So, what did I just hear? Who had a motion?
Me?
Motion by Charlie, second by Steve. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now you can discuss the details with us.
Okay. Did agenda item 14, was that approved, the resolution?
No.
I-
No, it's but I do have it in the minutes, it's ready to go.
And you guys have a copy of that, I believe.
2241.
Make that
Okay.
motion to
I
approve.
could,
And
General obligation bond.
Okay.
So that. What's
Just a
the
minute,
link?
just a minute. So what's,
I can read it if you'd like. It's a page, but I.
what is 14 different from 16?
So 14 is, so when,
Sell the bonds.
correct, 14's on the bond issue, and when you have a public hearing, the language, there has to be, the Iowa code requires a resolution taking additional action. And that's kind of synonymous with the date that a public hearing is held.
Okay.
And then it approves the preliminary official statement. And if you guys, that's basically the offering document that we've put together.
Okay,
If you don't have this, I've got copies for everybody.
which I do not have.
It's,
But
Neither do I.
It was attached to the minutes that I sent out last week.
But just take some time to, if you would, to look that over. Basically what it is, it includes financial information about the county, your evaluation history, your fund balances, who the elected officials are. There are appendices that will be added that we got from your bond counsel, Dorsey and Whitney. It has the bond counsel opinion that says the bonds are tax exempt. And there's a continuing disclosure certificate that's attached to that as well, that when you have bond issues in the market, bond investors like to see ongoing financial information filed, which for you is basically your annual audited financial statements. That's what the continuing disclosure certificate is. And that also includes your audited financial statements in Appendix C. I didn't print that, because you've already got that, of course. That's really it.
Okay, so we need to do 14 first then. Resolution taking additional action on proposed to enter into the general obligation emergency communications equipment loan agreement and authorizing the use of preliminary official statement for the sale of bonds.
So moved.
Motion by Steve,
Second.
second by Charlie, all in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We already did the authorization for Motorola, and now let's go down to set the special session for January 11th.
The item that I emailed on Thursday to everybody, this is just a printed reference of that. It's just really a question, do you want to hold a special meeting on January 11th or not? And I think kind of the main distinction point between the first timeline A, and timeline B, is just that, the special meeting on the 11th or not. The concern with timeline B, so when you start to carry out how this might be presented to bond investors, we go out with what we call this preliminary order period. We go to bond investors typically the day before your board meeting, at which it's proposed that you approve the bond purchase agreement. On timeline B, that's on January 4th. The first business day of the year is January 3rd, Monday. You might not get the best traction or best attention from the bond market that early in the year.
Right.
So you're
So-
recommending stave it off until the 11th and
Next
have a
week,
special
yeah.
meeting?
That makes sense.
Okay,
And it might be handy with the budget
Yeah.
things coming up
Yep.
to
We're gonna have several
discuss
meetings
those.
anyway.
we want our best shot at
That
the
works
best.
best, that probably work
rate,
best for
so.
you, right?
It does. What do I want to see happen? You guys get the best possible,
Yep.
lowest
We do too.
interest rate
Yep.
achievable, and that's timeline A.
Okay,
Okay,
Assuming a constant interest rate environment, of course, in that general time period.
okay.
okay.
So-
I'll make a
Motion.
So I have a motion by Charlie to set the date for January 11th,
Yes.
I'll second that.
second by Steve, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Appreciate all the work you've done on this. Is there
You bet.
anything?
Yeah, thank you.
No,
Helps.
that's it. We'll keep working toward that date, and it really
Should
should
you be here on the 11th?
I will absolutely be here, and then, as you know, the timeline, the delivery of funds is scheduled to occur on the 27th of January. You'll get a resolution from Dorsey and Whitney for both the January 11th meeting and the January 18th meeting.
Okay.
The big bulk of the approval will come on January 18th. I'll be at that meeting as well, just to
Okay.
really answer any questions. The 18th formalizes what we talked about on the 11th. That's kind of the brief summary of it.
Okay.
So,
Sounds good.
Good. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know why we don't do these more often now.
Fair enough.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Was this somebody's copy that I stole?
It's his.
That's yours.
Is that yours?
Keep it.
Okay.
Please keep it. You bet.
Okay.
Thank you.
Keep an eye on it.
Oh, my lord. Moving on, secondary roads, Brandon.
Good morning.
Brandon,
Not too bad.
Cold?
Charlie? It is. It's getting a little chilly out, but it's the first day of winter, right?
Yeah, it is.
What I had on the agenda is the F-24 pavement plans from Linden Road over through Irwin, in defiance there, over to Linden. And then City of Irwin's portion, where they're doing some parking and doing a portion of, I believe it's Ann Street. The plans are complete. Estimate is right around $3.5 million for it. We're gonna rubblize the concrete and then put asphalt over the top of it after it's completely rubblized.
Does that change much from a couple years ago when we?
Nope,
First
that's
start putting this
kind of
in
the
the
same plan.
I'm putting concrete over it.
No,
No.
it's currently concrete, and they go
Okay.
through with a
Gotcha.
guillotine head, and
I
it
see.
breaks it up into pieces about that size.
Okay.
And then they roll it with a steel roller, cap it with a little bit of rock as a bond breaker in between that, so if there is any more relief, it doesn't immediately crack the asphalt. And then put 5 inches of asphalt on top of that.
When do you anticipate that project could start?
Sometime next summer. Wanted to get it in this letting to kind of
Yeah.
coincide with 173 and then the other letting that we have on F58 in Elkhorn. So I don't know, they'll probably do the state work first and then do ours, so it'll probably be August, September, something like that.
Just curious.
But it'll be closed during the day, but that we'll maintain local traffic and do the best we can. It should go pretty quick, I would think, with an asphalt plant in the area, so.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll make a
Make
motion to
motion.
approve.
Project
Building
number.
letting. Yep.
Okay.
second?
Motion by Steve, second by Charlie. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Hopefully we don't get too big a surprise.
Right. We'll see.
Deal with it as we go.
Kind of, they have average prices on there, and it's kind of been what we think, but.
Who knows this one?
Right.
Environment.
Right. Brief update, wings are going on motor graders, so we're ready for snow. Probably put wings on the trucks next week. And in between that, guys will be out brush cutting. Chris and I were at the engineers conference in the last week. Some good info gleaned from that. It's nice to go, and it was nice to have it. They didn't have it last year, so it's nice to see everybody and just and get good info. Need continuing education, so.
A lot of times you learn more from the guys.
Right. Other than that, been working on budget, 5-year plan, and then guys are in Erling, and then the other excavators putting in some tubes and doing some ditching until we get those out, so. We'll see, looks like a good 10-day to keep digging, so.
Yeah. Have you been getting some applicants for your 2 job openings?
We have,
Good.
more than I thought we would, but
Good.
we do have.
Is it just in-house currently?
Nope.
Okay.
No, it's
Okay.
to the,
It's in the
to the
paper.
paper now.
Oh, okay.
So, got,
Let us know when you get those filled.
I won't. Yeah.
Are you scheduled for budget today?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. But that's all I have for today.
Okay.
Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you.
Board's consideration for successful employee evaluations, the 1% pay raises effective January 1st.
Every
Every department got
Successful.
theirs
1% evaluation needs board approval for this
Okay.
to
in.
be
All the
awarded.
departments get theirs in.
Yes.
They got them in, everybody, okay,
I'm not aware of any.
all right.
I haven't heard anything from the payroll persons. There's 2 of them right now for another month, so.
Do I have a motion to allow the distribution of this 1%? Motion by Charlie,
Second.
Second by Steve, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Are these evaluations put in employees'
Yes.
personal file? They
Yep.
should be.
The department has the option of keeping them or turn them into my office, and we put them in their personnel file.
That's where they should go.
Yeah, somebody's got
Okay,
them. They
well-
better.
I would send a reminder out that they really need to go in their file, because if we ever need something someday, we know where to find it,
Yeah.
so.
And we need to know that each head is doing these individually, they're
They're-
not just doing a blanket, yes, everybody gets
We
it.
have received emails saying everybody passed and the payroll's awesome about it. They said, no, we need
Okay.
your sign, maybe not the
Right.
evaluation, but payroll needs that slip
Yeah.
showing the update.
The ones that did pass,
Yes.
All right.
okay.
And then, lost my train of thought. I was gonna bring up one thing about that. Oh, I'm gonna put it in the minutes for those that'll read the minutes, but, there is gonna be a dead time. I'll get the exact date and, get it out in a bulk email where we cannot write checks, in the middle of January. They don't want any checks written. They don't want any floaters out there.
Sure.
They wanna know where they're at when they do the conversion. Towards the end of January. So there is gonna come a time, so if you gotta pay things, get the things in on time. to get
No
those paid.
outstanding checks in the middle of January, that's what we're
Yeah.
looking for.
Well, that's
Okay.
what they're looking for.
Okay.
Or they can track them and they know where they're at. They know exactly where they're at in the process.
Okay,
So they can
communicated
really-
where it needs to
Yeah.
be. Okay,
So you guys know that's coming up.
all right. Number 19,
Your second sentence there, is that to address longevity pay? With the evaluations?
What is
Yearly
segment or
increase.
additions to wages?
I don't think so.
No, that must be a typo. In all
Say, 'cause
honesty.
I didn't quite follow.
All it was for a 1% pay raise for those who's, like you guys stated.
Okay.
Increases with every fiscal.
Yeah, because I think the longevity one is approved whenever we do the comp board.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Rod, thanks for waiting.
Good morning.
He told me it'd be-
Compensation board recommendation.
Right here.
You told me you wouldn't mind.
How are you today? How are you? Good.
Little teaching.
Somebody's gonna do it. So I'm here to represent the Board of Compensation. We met last week. We voted in a 5% suggestion for elected officials. And then on the other note, a 28% raise for the sheriff based on legality issues that we're facing on paperwork that's come from the governor on that. So
It was legislation that
it
was passed
legislation
last
driven,
year.
yeah. And I'll leave it at that. I think that there needs to be some conversation about that.
Neil, could you give an update on how that process went?
Yeah. So when they signed the Back to Blue bill into effect last year, and Marcus can attest to this too, they had some verbiage change as far as what legislation states when you set a sheriff's salary and the Board of Compensation has control of that. They basically stated that in the past you may use comparables to police chiefs of similar population of counties, administrative positions with Iowa State Patrol, Department of Criminal Investigation. They changed the verbiage to you may use those as comparables when you set a sheriff's salary to you shall set sheriff's salary using those comparables. So the comp board's hands are kind of tied. They're really, based on that law change, the only recommendation they can make is comparables using those figures that the code says they shall set off of. So that was the change in legislation. And when figuring those, I did contact our attorney Mike Galloway and some other people and asked how they're doing that across the state. And this is just something you're seeing across the state with that legislation change.
Okay.
Basically, he's seeing things all across the board, across the state. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
We're seeing increases from 40% all the way down to,
Yeah, I'd say 25 to 40 is pretty common right now with where those comparisons have You know, it used to say may use this as a comparable, but no one was doing it. And so it fell behind over a lot of years of not using those as comparables, and when they changed that verbiage to shall set, a lot of people's hands got tied.
But it didn't change what we as supervisors are allowed to do. Correct?
That's correct.
The compensation board is required to set it,
Yep,
but then we have leeway still, as we did in the past.
that's correct.
The only problem is our hands are tied. If you're coming with a recommendation where all local officials are getting 5%, except for the sheriff, and he's getting 28, if we disagree with that and want to say, no, we want to cut that in half for a year to phase it in, then we have to cut all the officials in half. Is that correct, Marcus?
That's correct. I would like to propose that possibly we do look at a 3-year situation there. At that point, if we cut that all in half, then we try to meet the law requirements in 3 years.
Did you guys discuss this at all?
We didn't in that venue.
Well,
They didn't know that they had any
Yeah.
leeway,
Yeah,
basically.
it was kind of brought upon real quick there right before the meeting, sort of kind of uninformed necessarily about how maybe we should go about such.
Right.
It's such a different scenario than normal.
Yeah, and when I heard about it, I reached out to Steve Holtz, and I said, how come you're not allowing this to be a phase-in? And he really didn't have any answers at that time. He wasn't real familiar with the bill, but he also said he's gotten 2 phone calls from other supervisors in his area that same day I called, because comp boards are all meeting now. And I told him I was really disappointed, not that they're doing it, but the process. Because I said 3 years ago, the legislature got on the cities, counties, and schools pretty hard about trying to keep your budgets at 3%. And now you're doing a mandate, not taking nothing away from the sheriffs. If that's what we need to do, that's what we need to do. But I've always lived by the philosophy, if it's going to be double digits or more, you need to be phasing it in. We did that several times here at the county. I've did it at my own job, and I've did it at the school. And so I asked him if he could do that, and he didn't know, and he got back to me the next day and says, yes, you can. It doesn't say when it has to be implemented. So then I asked the question to Marcus, if the comp board would be open, since you didn't have that discussion about going back and just looking at the sheriff's salary as far as phasing it in, you know, over a 2 or 3 year period, you know, whether you do half of it this year and half of it next year, and the 3rd year, whatever formula you used on that 3rd year, look at that again and see, you know, where we're at to bring everything up to speed. And I know you were in favor of something like that.
I wouldn't be opposed to anything like that.
Is that something you would be interested to look at?
I think based on the knowledge, it's just a spoon feed situation, you know. We are thrown into these positions too and don't know the legalities of everything. And so we're just trying to wade into it.
And the problem is, you need to kind of, the trouble is, even if you go back and discuss this, whatever you bring back to us, if we adjust it, we've also got to adjust the, I just hate that. We've got to adjust.
Today we would. If they don't, if we table it, can we take it back?
Can we approve what they've already, or, I mean.
Can we approve? We can table it.
The employees part of it, though.
I think you table it all and let the comp board go back and bring you a different recommendation.
You're right, because they didn't have all the information.
But again, whatever the recommendation is, if we don't agree with part of it, or if we want to reduce the employees, then we've also got to reduce the.
Right. So for
I
instance,
just hate the fact that it's tied together like that.
If the comp board comes back and says, you know, the sheriff, whatever, a third of 28,
whatever,
8% or 9%, whatever it is, and then everybody else 5%, and then you want to cut back that 5% to 3%, then you're going to have to cut the sheriff back as well.
Yeah. So here's one thought that I would like.
Our hands.
A thought that I would like to add. Instead of dividing it up equally over, if you're thinking 3 years instead of 2 years, I would like to see those first 2 years, a major portion of it. Because that third year,
It's gonna be catch-up again.
it's catch-up, but it's also, I mean, it's an elected position. Hell, he might not even be here in 3 years. So, I mean, if he's really worth that 26 or 28, if that's what we're supposed to be going towards, if we could do the 14 and 14 for the first 2 years, that would get him.
I would like to see that too.
At the end of 2 years, he would be where
Right.
he should be.
But then it still should be looked at
And then
that
there'd be a
third year.
little catch-up on in that
Yeah.
third year.
So if you were to, with that being said, I can appreciate that, and I think that that's fair in conversation.
Mhm.
If you would tip your hand slightly and have a thought where you were at.
See, that's the deal
trick.
there. We've got to they've got to kind of know
Somebody's
where
gotta
we're at
lead here a little bit, or we're hung out.
on the other employees.
We've been close to the 3 mark.
Tell me how you came up with the 5.
Figuring there would be some fallback in some percentage, and it isn't that it's an equal fallback, so.
You guys need to have that discussion.
Their biggest
Which we did.
Their biggest statement was the COLA that was set at 6.2.
Yeah.
That was just released as 6.2. And I like I say, I was.
That's kind of how that lived, that's what got us to the 5 based on cost of living.
Mhm.
Figuring there would be an adjustment, and then, you know,
And I have seen some settlements out there, and they're like that 3 to 6% non-sheriff.
correct. And that's where we figured, you know, you're gonna be at somewhere in that
Right.
3 to 6, which if you average that, you're right there.
See, like, that's why I would like to, I'd like to be able to divide these two. Say we approve of what you've recommended for the other employees.
I understand the dividing at this particular stage. It's
State
just a
won't allow it,
unique,
so,
it's,
State won't allow us to divide it.
no. I mean, they're tied together on purpose. Even talks about it in the sheriff's bill.
Right.
If you
It
cut one, you
indicates
gotta
that
cut.
that still applies.
Yeah, it still applies.
Right.
Because they said, you know, if you're cutting his, you're cutting your own too.
So, I mean, if they go back and say, okay, yeah, we agree to this 14%, but we gotta know.
But that's
that
what
you
we
guys-
have them for.
Well, I know that,
On
but they're
board.
gonna have to adjust based on what we think we're gonna do with the other employees. If they think we're gonna drop theirs to 4, then they've gotta increase that 14 so that we can drop that one equal amount,
20%.
equal percent. It's a freaking math game.
well, it's a math game and it's a poker playing match.
Yes.
Who's doing what?
Yes,
And always in cards, somebody's got to lead.
exactly.
And
Honestly, we haven't had that discussion yet
And I
on
think
where we,
it's such a unique situation, everybody's open to thoughts. I don't believe that it's anybody, I didn't get that feel out of any of it at the meeting that, I mean, everybody understands like, whoa, that's unique.
But we know, we've kind of give our,
I think I can put together something
whatever
that
it
works.
was, where we are with the sheriff. We want to see a phase in. And we just need to, on the rest of them, need to be where you think they need to be. Not try to play any games here. That's where I'm coming from.
I think I can probably achieve those goals.
We can,
To do some math.
And this is something I was also gonna say, you don't have to do this tomorrow or this week, if you do it within this next month, you know, because our budget's not gonna be set till, you know, the end of the month at the earliest. Correct, Mark?
Yeah.
You know, so give the people some time, you know, that they can meet. We appreciate if they can come back together and
you'll obviously get paid
You can do it remotely.
for an extra
also.
session, so.
yeah.
You could do the meeting remotely, Rod.
That's what I was just gonna
Yeah,
ask.
it'll make it easier for everybody, because everybody will have the cards laid out in front of them, and it's one decision. It should be an easy remote.
Okay, I was just going to ask that, can we
They're still allowing it,
do
so.
some kind of Zoom, something or other, so
Yep.
that everybody could do it. When you know,
I
we
can
could
set
do it at
that
8
up.
o'clock in the
and
evening
I'll get a
or
hold of
something.
Frank and I'll call Frank myself, because he's the chairman, and he would have to approve
Is
setting
Frank,
another one.
was he absent for a I mean, did he?
Right.
Okay. You're setting in for him now, that's why I'm asking.
I did last year too.
You did?
Did he?
I did it last year too, as well. I don't.
I think he was at the meeting though, maybe, but he couldn't make.
But he
I
couldn't
believe- I
make the
believe that's
presentation.
I
Okay.
believe that's to be true.
Do you have anything else to add, Marcus?
No, I mean, I think you've covered all the high points, that this is what the legislature said, and so you gotta do it. There isn't anything in the bill that prohibits phasing it in, so
No.
I think that's certainly doable. And it's an unfunded mandate, as they say.
It could be a
So frustrating.
5-minute deal,
Yeah,
and that's what I'm assuming.
Well, you need to have the discussion about the other elected officials, if that's where you want them to be.
Neil, have we had any word about negotiations for union? Okay. Didn't know if you talked to Mike.
Do we fall into the attorney's
Been asked
schedule, or
this
how
in
does that
September.
work?
What's that?
I have no idea. Does that fall into the attorney's schedule, or the union and attorney's schedule, or how does that all?
You mean them
No,
bringing?
anybody, all the union negotiations, I'm just asking.
No, Mike reached out to them in September and said we would like to get this done before budget time.
Okay.
And we're waiting for them to give their initial proposal.
Perfect, thank you.
And I've had contact with him every month. And it's been weekly lately, and it's just, I'm sorry, but
Sounds like the
sounds like
union is.
in a few days, well,
That gets down the road then in a few days.
yeah, well, here we are, gonna be January and working on budget, we're still haven't met.
Yeah,
Let's not change the subject.
Okay, but so you're okay with them taking a few weeks at least to
Yeah.
to come back?
Whatever fits, I appreciate them re-looking at this.
When is your next gathering then? How do
We
we
have
do
one
that?
the
Do I
4th.
propose then back again? Is that how we do this?
Yeah, you don't need to have time to bring it back again.
Well, yeah,
But if you
when
could-
you
if
have
could come
something,
back-
contact
Yeah.
him and let him know you want on the agenda again.
What, our second meeting?
The 11th is our special meeting.
4th, the 11th, and the 18th will all be
Yeah, so if you
meetings.
could maybe make a goal the 18th. Be back by,
If that's what you want, that's fine.
that'd be good.
And I'll get a hold of Frank.
don't you have to have a meeting on the 3rd?
Yeah,
Yes, we do.
yeah, our
Our
business meeting,
In this-
the 4th.
That one, is that what you're saying?
No,
It happens to be the same,
whenever you're ready.
the organizational and regular will be the same day. It just
Yeah.
happened that way this year.
Well, the 3rd is a Monday.
What do we got?
That's December.
Oh, we gotta have one the 3rd.
Which is what, Monday?
Yeah, the first business day.
Oh, so we got a 3rd, the 4th. 4th will be our regularly scheduled.
3rd will be the organizational meeting. Thank you, Marcus. I
We
just
usually
had-
do it
Pick
together.
one.
I was gonna say, do we have to have one on the 4th?
You don't have to, we
Can we
usually do them
move,
together.
can we move the 4th up to?
I
think
think you
that-
decide at that organizational meeting when you're gonna meet regularly
Right.
anyway, so
Right.
you can certainly do it both on the 3rd.
Yep.
Okay,
Thank you.
good. Be silly to do it twice. Okay, thanks, Rod. I know it's,
I'll
Thank
do
you.
my homework.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Rod.
Thanks, Rod. Thanks, Neil.
okay, we did the beaver bounty already. We're down to building and grounds proposal for the Heartland Family Services rental.
Yeah, I got a proposal from Heartland, sent it off to Marcus, Mark did. He's gonna come back with a professional agreement,
At
But-
least-
But everything in the proposal looks agreeable, so we can go ahead and make a vote on it today.
Yeah, I didn't see anything that was
Okay,
legal problems.
and when we discussed it a month ago, for them to look at it, nothing's changed.
We'll give him permission to move in, and then when the lease gets here, then we can pass it again to sign the lease.
Yeah, we'll try to get it done here the next,
Okay.
well, before the
I'll make a
next
motion to approve the proposed agreement.
contents of it.
I'll
Okay.
second that, I read the whole thing.
There'll be a
Motion by
good,
Steve, second by Charlie.
be a good tenant.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That came to what, 500 and some bucks a month, I think, for rent.
40,
Yeah, paid quarterly.
Yeah, 540.
Okay. Okay. Looks like Carolyn's out here. Let's jump back up to her quarterly report.
Yeah, you bet.
Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
So the reason for me being here today is to, like I said, do my quarterly report. I was hoping to have a little bit more of a unified statement from the DOT about some of the changes that are going on in our office, but to date have not yet received anything, and some of these changes are going into effect in January. So I just kind of wanted to give an update to not only the board but the public of some changes that are coming up. One of the biggest changes that we're going to see from my office is something that's called contiguous county titling. And this is something that I brought up a few months ago that would be potentially going into place here after the first of the year. And it will be going into effect in January. And so what that means is that Iowa citizens will be able to perform a title transfer in any of the counties that surround them. So for example, now what this means for the treasurer's office is that for title transfers, we will be serving Crawford, Carroll, Audubon, Harrison, Cass, and Potawatomi County for their title work. We can't turn those customers away. We must serve them as if they were our own from Shelby County. We don't get any extra money for doing that other than what's set at the state rate currently to receive those monies. Also a change with that is car dealerships. They can send us their titles electronically. They can choose, meaning the customer at the time of the transaction, can choose which county they want it to go to. So for example, Keast can send us Potawatomi County titles electronically that we must process. Currently what we're doing is just Shelby County titles, but after the first of the year, we will be doing title transfers for all those counties that surround us.
You use Keast as an example, but anybody in Pot County could send their, even
Correct.
if they don't have a dealership here.
Yep, I just use that for example because they're Shelby County based. But so any of the car dealerships anywhere, if you buy a dealership, from anywhere, they can choose whatever county they would want to go to.
But then it has Shelby County plates on too.
One of the things I want to caution you on is that some people it makes a difference, some people it doesn't make a difference, but you will be issued Shelby County plates. That being said, if you are adamant about just coming here for your title, you can always go back to your own county and get a new set of plates issued for $5. But initially, the transaction that we perform in our office, you will be issued Shelby County plates. There's no state law that says that you have to have the county plates in the county in which you reside. So
you're saying they could get them issued here, then take those plates over to there and swap them for...
Or at the time of renewal the next time if they so choose.
$5.
Yeah,
okay.
If they so choose, yeah. The registration renewals still must be done in the county in which you live, but the title work, the initial title work, you can go to any of your surrounding counties. And like I said, that affects, I have just some statistics here for the registrations that we do here in Shelby County. These are 2020 statistics. Of course, there's nothing out for 2021, but how many, if you want to pass it along, those are the registration renewals that we do. I've highlighted it. Sorry for the small print, that's how it prints off. I've highlighted on the back how many registrations that Shelby County we serve. Also, that being said, there's sometimes when we have customers that come in that may have improper documents for titling, and especially with this going into effect, the DOT wants us to keep track of those and post those in the system that the title work, and even try to make a copy of that, those documents, so if they try to go to another county, that it's on the system in case they've made any changes. So we're supposed to copy those and make notes in the DOT system. What this means for the customers is potentially longer wait times. You will, because you can go anywhere in the state for your driver's license, and our statistics show that 22% of our driver's license issuances are from counties other than Shelby. We anticipate somewhat of an increase, or maybe even the same increase. If people are willing to come here for their driver's license, they may be willing to come here for their title work. So we're trying to plan and prepare for that. one of the reasons that we've kept the appointments is to try to somehow manage that and manage that extra flow of traffic that might be headed our way. And so with that being said, we just ask for the patience of our customers as we try to accommodate for the extra traffic in our office. Currently, the appointments are just for title work and for driver's license. And if we weren't a county that was situated next to Potawatomi County, this might not have as great of an impact as other counties. For example, Audubon County, they don't have a neighboring county or an adjoining contiguous county that has a high population like we do with Potawatomi County. Currently, right now, Shelby County is ranked 15th in the state for the number of out-of-county driver's licenses issuances that we have. That's on this document here. We'll take one of those. So as you can see, I just counted down, Shelby County issues, out of the 4,165 driver's licenses that we issue in a year's time, 22% of those are from out of county, 926 of those. I highlighted that on there for you. And that is according to the percent of the out of state, or excuse me, out of county issuances that we do. Whereas, you know, some of the other counties that adjoin us, you know, are further down the line. A little time to look at that.
Why do you suppose Audubon's 26? They're above us.
What's that?
Why do you suppose Audubon is 26? They're above us.
Where do you see Audubon on there? I'm sorry. It's
Above
not in
Shelby
there.
County.
Three above you.
Audubon County would adjoin, I think they have a little corner of theirs is possibly Platte County. I'm not sure. The state provides us these statistics, so.
Probably Atlantic, wouldn't it be? Don't they jet up to Cass County?
They do adjoin Cass County. Cass County is at 21%.
Pretty close.
Jasper County, that's understandable. They adjoin Polk County. And Jones County at the top of the list, that's understandable. They adjoining Iowa City.
Okay,
So I just kind of wanted to give you some statistics.
what else you
there.
got for changes coming?
Yeah, so also beginning January 1st, an Iowa law passed which allows treasurer's offices who conduct CDL drive exams to allow fees to be assessed for CDL drives. The code reads that the department may charge a scheduling fee for the pre-trip vehicle inspection test. The fee to administer the pre-trip vehicle inspection test is due at the time of the appointment scheduled. All other fees are due upon the completion of the test for which the fee was assessed. So as I said, that's House file that goes into effect January 1st. So the legislator chose to adopt this legislation in the hope that it will increase the CDL skills testing in the state. Currently, because no fee is charged, it doesn't, we have people who fail to appear for the testing or do not appear prepared because there's no financial obligation to it. So this is also hopefully to encourage maybe other counties to start offering the CDL tests so that they have this offset in fees to help cover the expenses for it. That was one of the reasons why the state is doing that. So hopefully maybe some other counties, if they have the accommodations, we're very fortunate here in Shelby County that we do have the accommodations that are necessary. We have the testing site, we have the 3 and 4 lane roads that are needed to do the skills, or the driving portion of it. So if other counties are, have that in their counties, hopefully they will look into the possibility of taking that on as well. And, the time slots are very valuable. Each drive test takes a couple of hours to do that, so we want to make sure that we're using those time slots valuable and can get as many people in here as we possibly can. So we will be starting that, and we already have implemented, because we do have drives scheduled for January, so we have implemented the $25 fee and are starting to accept those fees. And We have a couple of different methods that people can pay. We can set up some online payments situations so that people can pay online if they need to. One of the bigger changes that affects nationwide training is something called entry-level driver training. It's called ELDT for CDL applicants. So this is mandated by the Federal Motor Carriers Association. It's not just Iowa DOT, this is a federal situation. Beginning February 7th, 2022, to be eligible to take required skills or knowledge tests, CDL applicants must have completed some entry-level driver training from a registered training provider. The purpose of this is to, according to the Federal Motor Carriers Association, is to improve highway safety. At this point in time, the DOT, in speaking with the Iowa DOT, they foresee that the information regarding this is not going to probably be released until February 7th, and it goes into effect, February 6th, and it goes into effect February 7th. So if you're trying to do a little bit of research on this, there's limited resources. Training sites have not yet been announced, probably won't be announced until February 6th. And we are hearing that, and this is just customers coming into our office, so this is nothing that I have personally seen, that they are saying that the cost for these driver training courses is going to be upwards of $3,000 to $5,000. It's going to hugely impact those people who are trying to get the CDLs and get that passed. And unfortunately, the Federal Motor Carriers Association has not put a cap on what people can charge. So it could be that $3,000 to $5,000. You know, I think something that was thought of at first was, you know, just a few $100s, similar to maybe driver's ed classes or something, and maybe a one-day class. But just kind of giving people a heads up for that. If you are wanting to get your CDL, I would highly encourage you to do it before this February 7th.
So you're saying this $3,000 to $4,000 class, is that similar to what is actually out there right now for people to go to
The truck driving
classes?
But only now it's mandatory. This
Right.
is mandatory.
What are they charging now for these?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Because you're saying this could be just like a one-day training.
I don't know.
Okay.
That was what it was first talked about. I don't know how many days of training this is going to be required or where it's going to be required. I don't know if some place like, you know, Western Iowa Tech is going to offer something like this. Nothing has been released. I don't want to throw out any information that we're not certain of. So I just want people to be aware of.
Have you heard anything about
you
this?
get
Has anything been sent to you, Brandon?
I haven't seen any
Okay.
emails, but the guys have been talking about it.
Okay.
So if you get your learner's permit for your CDL ahead of time, if you get it before that February 6th deadline, you're grandfathered in. But if you're simply adding an endorsement after February 7th or after, if you're adding your hazmat, you know, you're going from a Class B to a Class A, this is something you're going to be required to take. So just a heads up, and hopefully more information will be coming out for that. Just keep checking DOT websites and whatnot, and this ELDT, but as it stands right now, nothing's foreseen to be out until just right before it goes into effect. So what that means for us is just additional training in our office to be able to assist the customers and confirm that ELDT training that they have met the requirements and passed before we can do anything in our office with those customers. Another thing that has recently taken place, starting back in July, parent-taught driver's education went into effect. You have to sign up on the DOT site. The parent completes and submits a pre-qualification application and helps their child complete the course requirements and submit the required documents. Starting, like I said, that started in July. There are 1,781 as of November who have submitted their application to do, for the parents to do that training with their child. And as of actually the end of November, also 498 have completed that. So 28% out of the ones that have submitted their applications have completed that. And so what that means for the parents is that they don't have to send their child through driver's ed. They can do it at home, similar to homeschooling for this type of, for driver's education. And then what that means for the treasurer's office, though, is once they do complete this training, they have to come into our office. They have to set up a time to come into our office and do a drive with our drive examiner or a certified drive examiner in any county location. It just takes extra time out of our day to conduct those that skills test, the driving skills test, approximately 45 minutes per drive. And so that takes our drive examiner out of there in addition to the other mandatory drives that they do. Today we have 2 on the schedule. Last week we had 3 on the schedule to do those drives.
Do we get paid for those?
Just for the issuance of the actual driver's license, but not the actual drive itself, just when we issue the actual driver's license. Then after the first of the year, as some of the other offices are going through a little bit of a change, we're getting new financial software. So we've been transitioning over the last few months to that new software, uploading reports and training sessions, things of that nature. And we go live on January 17th, and we will be working remotely with the software company. There won't be anyone here on site to do the training with us, so there may be times when we're on the phone for a long period of time getting those new features worked out and get our training done. So what that means for the customers is that there might be times when we're doing that online training and have limited services. There's also going to be a time period that we will not be able to provide receipts other than handwritten receipts because we can't do any postings in the old software or the new software while they're merging those two together. So.
And all offices are going live at the same time, correct?
Correct. Auditor's office and us are going live at the same time, January 17th. So during those transitions and those new things that are coming out, we just ask for everyone's patience, and not only that affect our office, but that affect our customers. We're trying to be forward-thinking and proactive and trying to accommodate all of these changes that are taking place and the flow of traffic. Just because we don't have a customer in front of us doesn't mean that we're not busy doing a lot of other office functions, and like I said, the electronic titling and a lot of other things that could potentially come our way, and the training that goes along with it. So just asking for everyone's patience and as we work through those things.
Okay.
Any questions?
Do you have any plans in the near future to open up for people who don't want to take appointments? Because that's probably the number one thing we hear.
Yeah. So with this contiguous county titling that's coming up with our office and how that may affect it, we do try to accommodate walk-ins on a daily basis. If we at all possibly can, we do try to do that. If at some point in time we can maybe limit the number of transactions. I know some counties do that. They limit the number of transactions per customer. There's a few options, that we are exploring. For example, just every week, sometimes even every day, we have customers that come in that a deceased person cannot own title to a motor vehicle. And, when you own several vehicles, 6, 8, 10, 12 vehicles, which is common, we have to take the time to do those title transactions, and maybe we will just have to try to limit the number of transactions that we do at a time, or open up, a certain day of the week where there's no appointments necessary. But Our fear is right now what's going to potentially happen with the contiguous county.
When does the
pipeline.
contiguous go into effect?
In January.
January 1st?
Not January 1st because they don't have the programming done though, but they're saying in January. It was originally scheduled for January 1st. But I know just as of late on Friday, they said it would not be January 1st because they don't have the programming done at the DOT level. So, just trying to, manage that with not having a hallway full of people that we can't assist in a day.
Did you get the job posting for part-time?
Part-time job posting
Okay.
is going out.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So if anyone's interested in a part-time 30-hour-a-week job, please feel free to contact the treasurer's office.
The word out, Bob. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else for the good of